Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Monday, April 9th. 10-game slate today on this Monday. Loaded slate, a lot of pitching options today from top to bottom at least. The top is pretty loaded with Max Scherzer, Noah Syndergaard, Justin Verlander, Zach Galli. A lot of stud pitchers we can consider today, even some value pitchers as well. Should be a fun slate, so let's go ahead and get started. But before we do get started, guys, make sure you drop a like on the video. I would definitely appreciate it, and if you are new and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button down below, so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new uploads. But yeah, starting at pitcher, looking at pitchers we want to target. Some of my two favorite pitchers for today. Up top, I do like paying up. Max Scherzer, Noah Syndergaard, Justin Verlander. I think all three guys are really good plays today. All three are worth paying up for. But right now, I'm leading Noah Syndergaard at 12,300 against the Marlins. I just think this is such a good matchup. Gonna be targeting the Marlins all year with opposing pitchers, especially a pitcher like Noah Syndergaard that has good strikeout stuff. There are definitely strikeouts up and down this lineup. The Marlins have a low implied run total today at 3.1 runs. It's a pitcher's park. The Mets are heavy favorites, so it's very likely Syndergaard's able to get a win today. Just has a lot of things going in his favor. Obviously, you really can't go wrong with Max Scherzer against the Braves if you want to do that. But we know the Braves, they're a team that doesn't really strike out. Scherzer kind of struggled against the Braves earlier this year, didn't have that great of a game. So I just feel like Syndergaard might have more upside, gets the better strikeout matchup. We know the kind of upside that Syndergaard has. So I love paying up for him on this slate at 12,300. He's definitely my favorite pitcher to pay up for if I'm talking about the expensive ones. Verlander and Scherzer will probably be the tournament plays for me. I think Syndergaard's the cash play. Honestly, you can't really go wrong with any guys in cash. Actually, I think Verlander might not be a cash play. For cash, I'd really stick to Syndergaard and Max Scherzer. Verlander, I think I would only use in tournaments. But all three guys in tournaments make a lot of sense because they all have big upside. But since we did pay 12.3 for Syndergaard, we're going to need a value pitcher or at least some really cheap bats. But I think we have both today. I like some cheap bats and I like a value pitcher as well. It's 7,900. Not sure you can consider this a cheap value, but Jon Gray I really like as an SP2 option. Against the Padres, I love this matchup. Obviously, the ballpark is not good. Pitching in Coors Field, that's a very hitter-friendly park. It's probably the best hitter's park in the game, honestly. But still, you're getting a really good pitcher that has a lot of talent against a very bad team. We saw Jon Gray really have a lot of success against the Padres in their last time out when he did play them. He pitched 7 innings against the Padres. That game was in Petco. It wasn't in Coors Field, but he still pitched 7 innings, got the win, 7 strikeouts. Only allowed 4 hits, didn't walk anybody, finished with 30 DraftKings points. So Gray pitched well against the Padres earlier this year. I think he still pitches well today, even though he's in Coors Field. For what it's worth, even though the Padres are in Coors Field, their run total is still pretty low at just 4.2 runs. And the Rockies are pretty heavy favorites here at minus 185. So I like Jon Gray. I like his upside here. He might not be a cash play because taking a pitcher in Coors in cash games doesn't really make a lot of sense. But for tournaments, Jon Gray, a lot of upside here. Just so many strikeouts up and down that Padres lineup that this could be a game where Jon Gray just absolutely goes off. So I like pairing him with Syndergaard. That still leaves you decent salary to pay up for some bats if you want to do that, and you can fit some value as well. But now if we want to look at some of the other pitchers on the slate, obviously I touched on Scherzer and Verlander. Those are guys I'm definitely looking to pay up for, but Syndergaard's my favorite to pay up for. Zach Galli against the Giants I do like here, but at 9,800, it's going to be hard to play Zach Galli over this expensive guys like Scherzer and Syndergaard. And if you want to play Galli with those guys, that's really going to cut you thin on salary for your batters. So just at Galli's price tag, and with how many stud options we have, I'll probably be avoiding him on the slate, mainly for SP2. The SP2s that I'm looking at, I think, obviously Jon Gray. I do like Ben Lively as a cheap SP2 if you wanted to play him. It's 6,800 against the Reds. I like that matchup, and I like Ben Lively's price tag. He makes a lot of sense if you're trying to pair him with an expensive SP2. But that really is it kind of for the cheap SP2s. There's not a lot I love besides Gray and Lively. Maybe Dylan Bundy against the Blue Jays you could go to at 8,100. But I think I would prefer Jon Gray for a relatively similar price tag for 200 less. So mainly Gray and Ben Lively are kind of the SP2s, the cheap options I'm looking to for today. But yeah, I think that's it for pitcher, at least the pitching options that really stick out to me. So now looking for my 3 bats for today. We're going to go to first base. We got some cheap value here that I really like. Matt Carpenter, 3,300, Really like here against Julio Chastain. Chastain, I took Carpenter against him earlier this year because Chastain is just a pitcher that really struggles to lefties. We obviously know Carpenter. We prefer him when he's going up against a righty because he gets the splits matchup. He's always been a guy that hits righties better than lefties. And he's dirt cheap today at 3,300. The ballpark isn't great for hitters. You would prefer that this game be played in Miller Park. But I still like Carpenter here. I like his price, batting in the top of the order. You know he's going to have a lot of opportunity for at-bats. You could definitely look to some of these Cardinals bats today. The cheap ones kind of up top. Fowler's only 3.1K. Carpenter obviously 3.3. Tommy Pham, a guy that has a lot of upside, is 3.4K. These guys don't have the Cardinals don't have a high run total for today, just 4.4 runs. Maybe that's one of the reasons they're cheap. But Chastain is a guy that we've definitely seen kind of get rocked at times. So you can look to some of these Cardinals bats today. I like Matt Carpenter at first base. I think he's a good cheap option for 3,300. If you're looking to pay up for a pitcher, you're going to need cheap bats to do so, and Carpenter kind of fits that build. So I like him at first base. Now if we look for some other plays, there's another guy that I like at first base, but he is outfield eligible, so I'll be plugging him in there. Trey Mancini, I really like today at 3,200. I think he's another really good cheap option if you're looking for a cheap option on this slate. I like this matchup with J.A. Happ. Mancini's going to be getting the good splits, good split matchup going up against the lefty. Mancini's always been a guy that's hit lefties better than righties. He's projected bat leadoff, so he's going to have a lot of opportunities for plenty of at-bats, 4 to 5 at-bats. And it's a good hitter's park in Baltimore, one of the best hitter's park in Camden Yards. I think J.A. Happ is a solid pitcher, definitely a pitcher I'm not looking to really stack against, but you can take some of these one-offs from the Orioles like Scope, Jones, Mancini, even Valencia for cheap. These guys are dirt cheap. They allow you to fit in the stud pitchers that you want for today. And these Baltimore Orioles guys, although they will strike out at times, these guys still have a ton of upside, have a lot of power, Mancini being one of them. So I like him at 3,200. If you want to play him at first base, if you don't want Carpenter today, you can plug Mancini at first base. But if you like both guys, you can play Carpenter at first and then move Mancini to the outfield. Those are two value plays I really like for today. And then my final play is going to be at shortstop. Trying to get some course field exposure today. Definitely think you want to do that. So Trevor Story, love here at 4,400 against Clayton Richard. I love this matchup. Richard is not a good pitcher. He really struggles to righties. I think some of these Rockies, their righties, are some of the best plays on this slate. These guys are obviously expensive. Arenado, I think, is the top hitter on this slate overall. If I can fit him in, I'm going to try and do so, but he is 5.7K, which is very expensive. It's going to be hard to fit Arenado in today if you want to pay up for some of the expensive pitchers. But maybe if we like some of the value, if we get some cheap bats that we like later on in the day once lineups are released, then maybe we can play Arenado with the expensive pitchers. But a guy like Trevor Story at 4.4K, you can still play him with an expensive pitcher because he's not that expensive. It's still a great matchup for him going up against the lefty and Clayton Richard. He's got solid BVP against him. If we look at Story versus Richard, 4 for 14 with a home run. A lot of these righties from the Rockies have hit Richard well. LeMahieu 6 for 17. Arenado has great BVP against Richard, 11 for 17 with a home run, 647 average. Even Chris Iannetta 6 for 17 with 2 home runs. I think Iannetta really good catcher play today if he's in the lineup. But yeah, obviously these Rockies righties, they're great plays on this slate. $4,400 for Trevor Story against a lefty in course field, a bad lefty at that. I think just too cheap. So these are my 5 plays for today, guys. Noah Syndergaard, John Gray, Matt Carpenter, Trevor Story, and Trey Mancini. That still leaves you, if you plug these 5 guys in, if you want to build around these 5, that still leaves you $3,780 remaining per player. Or if maybe you just want to play a couple of these guys, you can definitely do that as well. You don't have to just play all 5 just because I plugged them in there. Maybe if you don't like Carpenter today, or if there's other first basemen you like, you don't have to play Carpenter. But he's just kind of a guy that I like for today that is really cheap and kind of allows me to play Syndergaard, who I really want. But yeah, I think that's it for the 5 plays. Now if we look at some of the top implied run totals for today, some teams we want to stack up. Obviously the Rockies are the best stack on the slate, especially the righties. But these guys are expensive. So if you maybe you want to be contrarian, you don't want to pay up for the expensive pitchers, maybe you play like John Gray and say like Bundy as your SP1 and then Gray as your SP2. You could do that, and you could stack cores if you want to do that today. But it's going to be hard to play these guys with an expensive pitcher. But they're definitely the top stack on the day. I think the Padres could definitely be a GPP play. Just because they're in course field, they're really, really cheap as well. Like the Padres didn't really get priced up to be in course field. Usually we always see batters get really priced up when they're in cores. But these guys are still dirt cheap today. And against John Gray, I do like Gray here, but we've seen Gray definitely be inconsistent at times, especially when he is at home. That's kind of one of the reasons I really only like Gray in tournaments. I think he is a risky play, but does have a lot of upside. Same can be said with the Padres. They could just put up a donut here, or they could put up 6-7 runs. Really wouldn't be surprised with either one. So if you wanted to go to them in GPPs, I think that makes a lot of sense. But then if we look for other stacks, I do like the Astros here against Lance Lynn, preferably the lefties. Like, I think Reddick's another good play today. He homered again on Sunday. Reddick's just been hitting the ball really well. He's still dirt cheap. Marlon Gonzalez getting the lefty-righty matchup with Lance Lynn, another good option at 3.9K. I think the Astros are definitely a team you want to stack up. And then some of these lefties from the Nationals I think are really good plays. We know Julio Teheran really struggles with lefties. So Adam Eaton and Harper are kind of two guys I really like as well. They're expensive. I think I prefer Arenado over Harper today if I'm just talking about a stud to pay up for, but you really can't go wrong with either one. Both guys are definitely great plays on this slate. But that's really it for stacks and implied run totals. Now if we look at BVP, look at some of the top BVP plays on this slate, the top plays with sample size, big sample size at least. Mainly the two that really stick out to me today. Definitely Nolan Arenado, 11 for 17 against Clayton Richard. Bryce Harper has great BVP against Julio Teheran, 18 for 39 with 8 home runs. We saw Harper take Teheran deep earlier this year. Would not be surprised if he did it again today. So if you're a part of Team BVP, you really believe in it, then Bryce Harper, Arenado, two guys you should definitely be locking into some of your lineups today. Even if you want to go to some of these guys from the Orioles, they have hit J.A. Happ well, like Tim Beckham's 4 for 12, Pedro Alvarez is 6 for 12. Freddie Freeman has solid BVP against Max Scherzer. He's 7 for 24 with 2 home runs. So if you want to play Freddie Freeman in a tournament, don't mind that at all. I think that does make sense, especially like as a one-off. But then if we look at pitchers that have done well and pitchers that have done poorly in their matchups today, John Gray has actually pitched really well against the Padres throughout his career. The Padres are only hitting a .215 average against him. And through 65 at-bats, the Padres have 18 strikeouts versus John Gray. So Gray's definitely been able to rack up strikeouts against him. I think he is a great play on this slate, and I do really like him. And then if we look at pitchers that have done poorly, Chassin has really struggled against the Cardinals. Julio Teheran has really struggled against the Nationals, and Clayton Richard really struggled against the Rockies. I like bats from all three sides of those. I like some of these Nationals, preferably the lefties. Love the Rockies, preferably their righties today. And then some of the lefties from the Cardinals, like Carpenter, Fowler, I think are definitely good plays today. But yeah, that's really it for BVP and PVB. And that's really it for this slate, guys, and this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hopefully it helped you. If you did enjoy, just make sure you click that like button down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe as well. If you have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter at @thedfs_GO, or just feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Good luck tonight on this slate, guys. Peace.